Hey, boys and girls, this is a step into reading on your own, a game of hide and seek. Disney Fairies. Step into reading, a game of hide and seek by Tennant, Redbank, illustrated by Disney storybook artist, and published by Random House of New York. Pixie Hollow was quiet and still. No fairy wings fluttered, no fairy voices filled the air. Where had all the fairies gone? Suddenly, along came Tinkerbell. She flew alone over a garden. Tink pulled up close to a tall tulip. Rosetta peeked out from behind some petals. They were playing a game of fairy hide and seek, and Tinkerbell was it. Tinkerbell still had so many fairies to find. There were Rani and Bess, Nettle and Fira, Dulcie and Terrence, Silvermist, Iridessa, and Fawn. Beck was usually easy to spot. She couldn't stay still for long, but Prilla was very good at hide and seek. It might take Tink a while to find her. Tinkerbell looked behind a spiderweb. She checked under a pine cone. She peeked into a knothole. Then she saw a bright light. It was shining from behind a leaf. Only one fairy glowed that brightly. Fira! Tink yelled. Tink pulled the leaf back, and there she was. You found me, Fira said, giggling. Tink couldn't stay to talk. She had other fairies to find. Tink flew over the meadow, and she stopped short. She sniffed the air. She smelled lemons. Tink followed her nose, right to Dulcie, a baking talent fairy. Dulcie was hiding near a patch of clover. The lemon cake she had baked that morning gave her away. Tink left the meadow and started searching again. Bright blue footprints crossed her path. The footprints led over some pebbles and down to the river. There, Tink saw Bess, hiding among the pussy willows. How did you find me? Bess asked. Tink pointed to the art talent fairy's feet. The bottoms of her shoes were covered in blue paint. Oh, drat! Bess exclaimed. I spilled some paint in my room today. I must have stepped in it. Tink found Silvermist behind a rain spout. She spotted Fawn in a bird's nest. Iridessa was trying to blend in with the fireflies. Nettle was hiding in an old cocoon. Tinkerbell still had not found all her friends. She flew to Mermaid Lagoon. There she saw water flowing from a large stone sitting on dry ground. Tink fluttered around the stone. On the other side, she found Rani, a water talent fairy. Rani was playing with a water ball. I got you, Tink shouted. Rani jumped. She was startled and she dropped the water ball and it burst into 100 droplets. Then Rani pulled all the drops back together again. She threw the water ball at Tink. Tink sprang out of the way. Hey, Tink yelled. We're playing hide and seek, not fairy tag. Tink had a game to finish, so she flew into the woods. I can't believe I haven't found Beck, she said. Up ahead, she saw a flash of color. Tink flew closer, and it was a red spotted toadstool. But wait, something was behind it. Maybe it was Beck. It wasn't Beck, but it was a red-haired fairy in a green cap. Prilla! Tink shouted. Tink told Prilla who she had already found. Then Prilla cried out, Tink, look! A beetle floated right in front of their noses, upside down. It sparkled with fairy dust. Tink and Prilla followed the trail of fairy dust. Fairy dust makes fairies fly, and beetles too. They flew until they saw a silly sight. Terrence, a fairy dust talent sparrow man, was trying to pull beetles from the air. Tink! Prilla! Help! Terrence cried. I was hiding in a little hole, and a bunch of beetles found me and got into my bag of fairy dust. Prilla stayed to help Terrence. Tink still had more fairies to find. Who was left? Tink settled on a lily pad to think for a bit, and she had found Terrence and Prilla, Fawn, Iridessa, Rosetta, Nettle, and Silvermist, Dulcie, Rani, Fira, and Bess. The only fairy she had not found was Beck. Tink flew off again, and she looked, and then she asked the other fairies for help. They all joined in. They explored every garden. They searched over the meadow and the lagoon, and the fairy Dust Mill, and where in Pixie Hollow was Beck? Tink tugged at her bangs. She was stumped. Beck was usually the easiest fairy to find. Today, Beck was not just an animal talent fairy. She was a master hider. Tink was about to yell, "Come on out, Beck!" But before she did, a soft sound reached her ears. It seemed like a breath, or a whisper, or a snore. Tink followed the noise, and it was coming from a hollow log. She poked her head inside. There, she found Beck curled up with a family of hedgehogs. "Wake up, sleepyhead," Tink sang out. Beck opened her eyes and yawned. "You found me already?" Beck asked. "Already?" Tink cried. "I've been looking for hours." "Beck, you're the last hide-and-seek fairy." "I am?" Beck asked. "How nice." She rolled over. She snuggled back in with the hedgehogs, and soon Beck was asleep again. Tink sighed. Beck and the hedgehogs looked so cozy. Tink pushed Beck over a little bit. She was tired after all, and that looking, and maybe a little nap, only for a minute or two. And just before Tink's eyes closed, she heard a voice call, "Tink, Beck, where are you? Another game of fairy hide-and-seek has begun." A game of hide-and-seek. I hope you love this book.